Well, good morning, everybody. It's the 24th of August, 2023. I'm in it's behind apartment buildings. It's quite a ways off the road, so there's no road noise like yesterday. So this is what I'm looking at, going down a trail here. And here is some kind of administrative building. Cars there, so I guess you can drive. I'll walk over there, take a look at that. But it looks like this area here might be some sort of a break area for whoever works in this building. I don't know what this is, probably for cigarette butts or... Yeah, it looks like it. Got a rock in there so it doesn't blow away. Another little break area over here. It's actually where you're supposed to smoke, I guess. Let's take a walk there. I hope I'm allowed to be here. I don't even know what that building is. Door is open. I'm not going to go wander inside there. But anyway, it's a peaceful area for whoever works there, whatever they do. Maybe I'll take a walk down this way here. Anyway, as you know, the big news is the death of Prigozhin yesterday afternoon when he was taking a flight from Moscow to St. Petersburg. And it's not just Prigozhin, but all of the top people of Wagner were in that airplane. And yeah, you have to be a little bit suspicious. It was on his private jet. And as you know, he's supposed to be the founder of Wagner. And he's kind of a co-founder, as you know, in truth. But everybody calls him the founder because actually he's the front man of Wagner. In truth, the brainchild of Wagner was actually a man called Dmitry Utkin, and he was also in that airplane, as were other people. So 8 founders of Wagner and 3 crew died. And if you saw the video footage of that airplane, obviously it wasn't some sort of a malfunction. Who knows what's going to be put out, by the Russian government as what will be the official word, but let's get into that a little bit too. So yes, so anyway, this real person who's actually, he's the brainchild, this Dmitry Utkin, obviously, because he is a special forces person. That's where he was an operator in special forces of the Russian special forces before that time. And Prigozhin was a caterer. So it's not like Prigozhin came up with this idea. Obviously it was Utkin. That seems kind of obvious if you turn on your brain a little bit. And so, but we're all suspicious, of course, that foul play is involved here, because you saw in the video footage how that airplane was coming down, and it looked like a bomb or something had already happened. And I believe there was smoke, which normally means some kind of flames in that case. So there was probably some sort of a bomb that went off in that airplane before that time. Yes, sabotage. 99% chance that that's what happened. And you've already heard Joe Biden immediately, Putin did it, Putin did it. The very least likely suspect of possibilities of people that are possibly involved in that is Vladimir Putin. Because, well, we'll get into that a little bit too here. But you know that the United States press is going to be running with this, and of course the politicians, and you can expect that Lindsey Graham at some point in today is going to come out and say, obviously Putin did it. He can't resist any kind of a conclusion other than that. Anything that has the possibility of starting some kind of a war, it's Lindsey Graham is going to be the first person on board for that. So I don't know, where should I walk today here a little bit. But they're all going to be milking this. Matter of fact, I'll go through here. Maybe I'll get in trouble. But you know they're going to be milking this for all it's worth. You know, there were some high political people in Russia that might have motive to do this, but you know that would be a motive of revenge. And normally, if you look at all the big guys in any country that do these really nasty things like this, revenge is normally not what makes them do it. It's normally something that is coming down that could be harmful to them. So I don't know if I need to talk about the Clinton family. And if you see that, you know, people that have information on the Clintons, you know, that maybe were involved with them, somehow always end up dead. I mean, what is that? There's well over 100. Some people have the number up to 200 or more than 200 people that somehow mysteriously perished that had some sort of information on the Clintons. Some guys just walked past me going this direction. So there must be something that way. I'm not going to go behind them. I might walk that way, but not just yet. I don't know if I want to walk over here where there's these buildings then have a bunch of people staring at me. Sometimes I like to make these videos without people giving me the eye. Just kind of distracts me. It's not that it really bothers me or anything, it's just distracting when you're trying to put something out and people are staring at you. You know, maybe if I was up on a stage or something, it'd be a lot different. So, yeah, anyway. So let's get on with this here. You know, after this so-called coup d'etat, which people in the West call it a coup d'etat, that he's trying to overthrow the government, Prigozhin, you know, with a few military trucks, easily traced by satellite, going from Rostov, you know, on the Donau River all the way up to Moscow, you know, which takes days, very, very, very easily to eliminate. In other words, that's a completely ridiculous thing to say it was a coup d'etat. Putin knew that too, but Putin still called it a betrayal. And I don't know that it was a betrayal to him or to Russia. It was like a internal military betrayal because Prigozhin had his differences with the top military brass and nothing more. And he was going, obviously, to cause a demonstration. And that's it. That's it. So I don't think you really need to look into it any more than that. But, you know, sure, you can sit around and create some big scenario that he's trying to take over the world, Prigozhin, or something like that, so that he was. But of course that would be just, you know, just fake, all just fake stuff. Very easy to always create a different story than what the real truth is. I mean, like, I don't know. So you just can't draw conclusions based on little bits of information. And as you know, like watching this plane come down, it's pretty obvious there was some sort of a explosion or fire somehow on there. I mean, it's nobody's going to sit there and start and light a fire and walk away. I'm sure that was sabotage. You know, that's very obvious. 90% of that goes to that. Yes, and in Russia already they're talking about that this is it's very possibly, they're saying, caused by foreign intelligence. And of course, who would have motive of that? When you watch what's going on in Africa right now, you know that Prigozhin, or Wagner, was for the most part defanged. A lot of their heavy artillery is gone. A lot of their best equipment, it didn't belong to them anyway. That was, you can just say, on lease from the Russian government. So that stuff was gone. So Wagner did not have the firepower that it did in the past. And I don't really even know what kind of operations they would be running in Africa. And maybe they retained all that weaponry in Africa. Whatever weaponry they had, their methodology, I don't know. I'm not an expert on Wagner in Africa, but it's very possible. You know, you had the ECOWAS states. Obviously, they're probably not involved. They don't run that kind of a assassination operations or anything like that, sabotage. But maybe, I don't know. You could even start to point to France, and I don't know if France has a history of that sort of thing. Even though it's saboteur is a French word, I'm not thinking that France would have anything to do with it. If you look, you know, there's only a certain amount of countries that have intelligence services that do sabotage. All intelligence operations in the world are involved solely in intelligence gathering, but not in sabotage. But obviously, you know, there are some that have a big sabotage department. And I'll name them: Israel, the United States, Great Britain. Those are the three main ones. They conduct a lot of sabotage operations. Everybody knows that. And of course, maybe there's a few others, but oddly enough, Russia is not one of them. Even if you go back to the Soviet Union times, trying to find some sort of a sabotage that the Soviet Union did, it's very questionable. I don't know that they ever did, really. I can't recall anything that they ever did that was similar to that. And of course, the West, anything that ever happens, you know, immediately they're going to say that the Russian government did it. Putin did it, you know. Anything that's wrong, as if Putin is a big spider with, you know, 50 legs, hundreds of legs, and it's all over the world, and he's controlling everything. So, and I think he laughs about that himself, you know, and he's the richest man in the world. I don't know. Sorry I'm laughing at it. I mean, but it's just, that's the most ridiculous stuff you've ever heard. The big boogeyman. So, yes, but anyway, anybody who has their brain turned on, your eyes open and your brain turned on, know that a lot of this stuff is just misinformation, to put it mildly. Yeah, I think that's what I just got into. And, you know, like agent provocateurs, that's another area. I don't think this is like any kind of operation like that, but, you know, the biggest country that I know that does a lot of this stuff is, of course, Canada. Canada likes, and the United States. They love to be, they have lots of agent provocateurs and lots of departments that are involved in this. And I can even vouch that I've known people in the past involved in that sort of thing. So I would say that in the United States there's thousands and thousands of them involved in this sort of thing. So, and there might be 50 countries that do, you know, this agent provocateur thing. There might even be 100. I don't know. A lot of them. So, but like I said, sabotage, that's a little bit different. There's very few, obviously, because that's you know, it comes with a lot of risk. And you get caught, you know, you look pretty bad. But the United States has this ability, when they do some really nasty stuff, that everybody forgives them immediately, and it's out of the press within a week. And if somebody else does it, of course, it stays in the press for years and years, and they keep bringing it up. It's just like the difference between what the Republicans do and what the Democrats do. Obviously, if Trump did something, and even if there's no evidence that said he does it, they keep that going for years and years. And anything that Biden might do, they try to make sure that it's forgotten within a week or so. So, you know, I don't know, it's running this successful stuff through the media is really something. It's incredible. And I was also going to say, do you remember, this is just a note, and you know, and if you want to do like a little bit of thinking on your own and start, like, you know, connecting some dots, if you remember that jet carrying some of the greatest, matter of fact, the greatest military musicians, which are very, very good. They were carrying the Russian musicians going from Sochi, I believe it was, to Istanbul, and these were world-renowned musicians. it's like you could put them on a near level to maybe just as high as, say, like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, doing traditional Russian music, Kalinka and things, very famous and famous musicians. And remember that once it reached a certain altitude, that jet exploded. And the conclusion was, I believe, human error. And, I think that was put out supposedly by the investigation, but of course Putin is the one that put out that information. Human error. And you have to consider that before that investigation even started and before any information ever came, that was going to be the outcome, human error. Because if it wasn't, just think if it was sabotage, what do you think the result would be? It would be who did it. And oftentimes, if you find out that it was sabotage, there'll be leads to who did it. A lot of time you'll find out who did it at the same time as what happened, because they go together. It's like sugar and tea or something. And then after that, the very next thought that would be in your head is, what are you going to do about it? So now that you know who did it, or what happened, who did it, what are you going to do about it? And obviously that tells you that the conclusion of that investigation is going to be human error of some sorts. And I don't think they mention any names, maybe some technician or something like that. But I doubt that. I doubt that very much. And remember, at that same time, there were a lot of Russian diplomats being assassinated. I think it was a period of maybe about 1 year or so, and lots of diplomats were getting assassinated all over the place, Russian diplomats. And at that same time, the United States was doing all kinds of dastardly things. And I remember it was Sergei Lavrov and Maria Zakharova talking about all of the mistreatment that the U.S. was meting out for Russian diplomats. And I'm not even sure what world events were happening at that time. I'm not even sure what year that was. I should have looked that up, but maybe you guys can help me out there. What was going on at that time to merit that sort of behavior towards Russian diplomats? And it's probably, you can suspect who was behind these assassinations of these diplomats. Remember, there was the most noteworthy was, I believe, there was a diplomat, and I think it was in Istanbul, and he was giving some talk. I don't know if I believe there was press people present, but there were a lot of people present. It was indoors, and somebody takes out a gun and shoots him. And I believe they obviously got this person. Maybe they even shot him. I think it was Turkish security shot this guy. So anyway, that was just the most noteworthy assassination. Maybe you remember that one. So yes, but I don't know. I think, to me, I don't know if this if the lead, I would start looking maybe at France. I would be looking at France, to be honest with you. But I don't, like I said, but I don't think France, they don't have the know-how on how to do that. Who does have the know-how? Obviously the British. Obviously the British. And what sort of interest do they have in all of this? And of course the United States. So I would be looking at those three if you want to find out. Because it's some of these higher Russian, like I said, these higher Russian politicians, I don't think they would be acting out of revenge. Normally these assassinations don't come for revenge. They come for because they want to prevent something that these people have some ability to do, such as these operations in Africa. So that's what I would say. I don't know if there's anything more I need to add about that. Looks like here. Maybe getting a visitor. No. You see, like this elderly guy I've seen, you know, a lot of this cleanup. So he's a cleanup guy, obviously. He doesn't look much like Zelensky, but he's sort of a janitor. You know those janitors, a lot of times they look similar. That guy's wearing blue. In Ukraine, apparently they wear green, because I saw this guy with a mop and a mop bucket from Ukraine, and he was in Vilnius. By the way, Vilnius used to belong to Belarus. That used to be a part of Belarus. And this is just some unrelated information. And you see all these countries like Poland and, you know, and Ukraine wants to hang on to the Crimea, even though it was only administratively attached to Ukraine since 1954. And I believe I heard that it was like Khrushchev was drinking. His wife, I believe, I don't know if he's Ukrainian or if his wife is Ukrainian, and sitting around with some buddies, and he just attached the Crimea to Ukraine. Only a lot of people coming around here. They're sneaking out of the woods. Some more guys here. So, cigarette smoke, I can't breathe. So all of a sudden it's getting crowded here. Another guy. Where was I? Yeah, anyway, it was just attached for a very short time administratively, and all those people are Russian. They don't want to be part of Ukraine, never did. Even the Donbass, even that was very early attached, I think, by Lenin, Vladimir Lenin, and they never wanted to be a part of Ukraine, never. And there was actually rebellions, just like in the Crimea. I remember even, I think it was in the 1980s, you know, huge protests, and it was on, by Sevastopol. These people were all protesting. This is like in the 70s, I believe. They were protesting that they wanted to be part of Russia. There was big protests even back then. They never liked the Ukraine. And now you have Budanov and Danilov and Zelensky saying all these people want to be part of Ukraine. You know, and like I said, it was this little thing that Zelensky started, just this little propaganda thing. I was mentioning that yesterday. What was that called? I don't even know what it's called anymore. I just mentioned it. I don't know, nobody else has mentioned it, but it's just a big propaganda campaign. And it's mostly, I guess, directed at the rest of the world to make everybody think that all these people are oppressed. The Tatars are in tatters, and they want to be part of Ukraine. So, and I think that's more all about what I want to say today. I just did that video yesterday, and it might be possible, maybe, if I can do this, because I recorded something on my cell phone, and I was yesterday in some well-known like cafe bar, I think it's more like a wine bar. Maybe that's what you would categorize that as. And but I just walked around filming it before any kind of action started. And of course it was Wednesday, the middle of the week, and nothing really ever happens anyway at nighttime about that time. But what time was that when I was there? I was maybe 5, 6 or something like that. You know, kind of like dinner time. You go to like restaurants, and a lot of time there's a lot of people eating, and then there's a big lull when there's nothing going on, and then later on people come there for some sort of parties or whatever like that. I don't know. I don't go out so much that time doing all that kind of thing. And but I was lucky because there was no music playing, so I could film it. So that's actually a good thing, going to these places early when there's no partying going on, so you can actually see it. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to film it, or I have to cut the sound off of it. You know how that is. I already know how that is. I haven't been canceled yet for music, for copyright violations. I've been canceled mostly for the, you know, shot in the arm sort of a thing, and laboratories, you know, a lot of stuff going on about that. Other people don't really get canceled, but I do for that sort of thing. But anyhow, here I'm babbling. And if I have anything else interesting, I might add that. But I know that Duran was putting something out yesterday about this Prigozhin thing. There wasn't that much information available at that time. And I don't think they put it on YouTube. I put it on a different platform. But obviously they're going to be talking more about that probably today, and I can't wait to hear what some of these American politicians say. But you already know, Putin did it. Putin did it. Yeah. Oh my God. So, anyway, I should say more about this sort of thing, but it's mostly just notions out of my own head, so I won't do that. Other than that, like I said, I'm going to try to put something right after I finish this talk, and just put just some footage, and add it onto this video. I hope I can do that. So the big question is, what's next for Wagner? These founders, of course, were also the funders and the founders, and the managers of Wagner. And what's next? What about the future in Belarus? And of course there are other military groups, smaller ones in Russia, as there are everywhere, and well, any of these larger countries, France, United States, and what was that one in the United States, the Mozart or whatever. It was a big flop. Apparently they tried to copy Wagner, didn't work. So down here. So anyway, like I said, that's the big question. What's next? And somebody beating their rug over there. Well, anyway, that's about it. Thanks for joining me. And like I said, I just did a video yesterday. Had to add this one, because it's a big piece of news. And like I said, I'm going to try to attach something that I did yesterday evening. See you on the next one, and thanks for joining me. Bye-bye. Well, I'm back. I'm at a place called Red Bar, and it's I guess a very famous place here in Minsk for partying, I guess, but I'm a little bit early, so just showing you around. I guess you can see why it's called Red Bar. Actually, they have a lot of wine here. Probably red wine. Anyway. Just showing you. It's not an official Duke video. Duke in Belarus. But I am in Belarus. Look at this is red. Looks like it might be painted. Okay, well, that's about it. Oh, maybe I should add, it's not too far from Nyamiga metro stop. Okay, bye for now.